What's up, guys? We got Raymond from Play TCG's tournament top 16 deck with Ace. He actually got 16th place. Raymond Gomez. Welcome, Raymond. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining us. You had an amazing Ace deck, pure Whitebeard list, so we wanted to learn a lot more about this deck. Thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Guys, if you want to stop by, if you're topping these decks, make sure you text me, comment on these videos, and I'll DM you immediately and get in contact with you. But yeah, Raymond, I want to talk to you a little bit about this tournament. Maybe we could start with how Play TCG runs their tournaments. Do you like the way they run their tournaments? Was the tournament smooth? And then maybe we can get into the details of your deck.
Yeah, definitely was pretty excited to play in this tournament. To bring Ace into it, and I think the tournament went relatively smooth compared to some other tournaments that I've been in. Maybe I think they had a couple of early round slowdowns, which was fine. But I've definitely experienced worse in some in some other tournaments, and luckily BCP wasn't too crazy. I mean, it had its same issues, best post pairing, but and for what it could be, I think it was pretty smooth.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, Play TCG does really good. You guys only do one match per round, so usually the games are done pretty early. Actually, it's not like a. I've played Play TCG tournaments before. There's been some mishaps. I won't talk about them right now. But yeah, you went to the event with Ace. Tell us your mindset. Why did you pick Ace? What do you see? What potential do you see in Ace? Do you actually believe he's a tier S deck, or does he actually struggle? And then maybe we can talk about this deck list specifically.
Yeah, so for me, I was really excited to play Ace in general because for me, I really saw that he has kind of like this ability to kind of be a toolbox, using events to kind of basically change the way that you're playing. And I'm not really an aggro player, to tell the truth. Most of my experience has been playing, green, playing the slower game. And for me, playing Zoro or playing Whitebeard is so aggro that I definitely do not do well with aggro decks. But Ace kind of fills like multiple roles, where I can get the aggro of red, but also the kind of control and mid range that some of the other colors might see. So that's really what my mindset was going into the tournament, was making it kind of a toolbox for the meta, and just like kind of making a meta call to be able to kind of tackle the early variety that I was going to see.
Nice, nice, very, very good. Yeah, red is a really strong color. You have so many options. Ace is unique that he can use these, events that red has, which are extremely strong with Flame Emperor. That's unique to him. Jet Pistol, and he doesn't even have to utilize them. He can still gain value from them in another way, which makes him extremely unique. I really like that about him. Um, Now tell me, what was possibly a matchup that you were really worried to go against Ace? What does Ace struggle against, and what do you feel like Ace is really strong against?
Yeah, I would say that the challenge that Ace has overall is going to be against black decks where your leader is Smoker or Lucci. Those are really the scariest
Hmm.
to face, because you can't
Wow.
really use your events like you would want to, and so you kind of just are pitching them to kind of just counter out of, and it's not unwinnable, but it is difficult.
Nice. So
And
black is your
yeah,
worst matchup, you believe?
yeah, 100%. I think maybe it's the way I'm approaching the matchup that makes it difficult. I think that I think I have to play it a little differently and practice that a little bit more. Because there are times where I can win against black, but really once they see Fukuro or Borsellino, it's really really tough. And when my one match against Smoker, I just did not see Jet Pistol off life or Flame Emperor off life to kill the Borsellino, which I had many opportunities. Like if that had triggered, I think the game would have went differently. You know, and so like that really just set me back like a lot. So not seeing those triggers really hurt.
Wow, so decks that you're gonna struggle against are any decks that can counter your removal, and so black can do really good with that since most of their units are unkillable with effects. Interesting. I didn't even think about the value that that can bring you in a matchup against red. And what do you believe was a really strong matchup for you? What do you just destroy completely and feel good against?
Yeah, honestly, Law is like my preferred matchup.
Oh, really?
You know,
Because that's
and
a
that,
really strong deck.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I expected to see like a lot of Law, primarily because Law really is a counter to Yellow, and I figured that Yellow would be really popular. So you know, I wanted to play Ace because you get a lot of that removal that Law really cannot, you know, build the board with,
Right.
and so you know you're just taking their board little by little and then kind of just chipping them. You're hitting Fire Fists, you're hitting Sea Quakes. You know, you're really just taking down everything that they play, and then you know if they play Blocker Law, you're just hitting them with Jet Pistol. You know, you're just doing, you know, so much to their board that they just can't recuperate quickly enough.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, Law is such a strong deck, man. I've been looking at a lot of these deck lists from the top 16, recent top 16s for online regionals. Even in Europe, the laws are just set 2 laws. They don't run anything set 3, and they just dominate the competition. They're just such a strong deck. And makes sense that Fire Fist can really counter it. Now I understand why a lot of Zoro players are adding this, even in the North American matchups here. It's to counter the Law because it's a really tough matchup against them. That makes a lot of sense. Law is a big threat right now, and I'm actually surprised to see that Ace really does really strong against them. Makes sense that removal does help. Talk to us about your deck, your choices. Why did you go with the white beard? Just explain your deck out. It's very unique. It's got very special ratios. You know, like guard point at 2, fire fist at 2. Maybe explain your mindset behind these choices and why no white beards as well. Talk to us a little bit about your deck list itself.
Yeah, so I went through a lot of different uh, iterations of this list. Like I played a lot at locals to kind of figure out what I like the most in the list, and you know there were a lot of changes. Like I remember playing originally with Striker build, and you know I didn't really like it. Then I started playing, you know, Crossfire, the typical stuff that you might see in an ace list
Mm-hmm.
that is, you know, geared for his deck. And I just kept losing to yellow like every single time. You know, I just was not putting in, you know, as much aggression. You know,
Wow.
so I was like, wow, this is really, you know, this deck is not doing well. So I just kept changing things and changing things and changing things until I got to this list. And so basically, the reason for what I put together is um, the early, you know, cost stuff is really just like the Dan to search out my one drops. So I can search out my buggies, I can search out my EZOs or my 2K counters.
Okay.
Um, and you know it allows me to kind of just put a body on the board, and then you know if I need to, you know, I can always attach a couple of Dons to swing with it. You know, because early game really it's super slow. Like you're just putting in your searchers and you're controlling what your opponent is playing. So you're just like trying to see quake things, fire fist things, jet pistol things, just all in the early game while you set up these little bodies. Because you know you're just trying to stop your opponent from building any kind of board, and then that's gonna play in really big into the late game. You know, because that's where Ace's, you know, power comes from, is that late game, and being able to play 7 cost Ace, being able to play a Flame Emperor, you know, so all that
Huge.
early game is really slow.
Wow, that's a great point that you bring up. You have to actually start controlling the opponent really early because, and I saw this. Your characters are they're just not strong enough to battle like an Atmos or any of those
Yeah.
big characters that Whitebeard runs.
Yeah, and honestly, because I have so much removal, I'm honestly just like, well, my opponent's gonna counter out of my swings, so I might as well just guarantee that I remove something off the board with a jet pistol, or guarantee I remove it with fire fist. So I want to make sure that what I take out is gonna be gone for good. So every time my opponent plays something, if that's their turn, then what I'm doing is I'm gonna KO it, play a couple of little bodies, and then swing in with ace. Basically just put a little bit of the pressure with my leader, and eventually those little bodies in the late game become kind of threatening because I'm able to kind of Makino them at the end,
Nice.
or just whatever I need to do. Because now I have just a bunch of bodies on the board, while my opponent, I leave them with like one or two, like if anything, at most. So that's really the whole point.
No, that's super impressive, man. So ace is your number one strategy. Talk to us about your late game. So do you not like the 9 drop? Do you not see any value in that 9 drop? How did you test him out of your deck?
Yeah, every time I played, Whitebeard, I felt like I was just going too slow. I've
Okay.
played Whitebeard as a top end. I've played Shanks as a top end. Um, and at the end of the game, I just really need that Dawn. I really need the Dawn. Whitebeard is really super slow.
Yeah.
I'm just going up by two two power, 2,000 power on my leader, and then leaving one Dawn open. It kind of hurts. Just to go that slow, especially against yellow. I really don't want to go that slow. And I mean it helps in the Zoro matchup to play the Whitebeard, but I don't really like it against every other matchup. By then, I just rather play Ace down, have 3 Dawn open. I can see Quake a couple of things when Ace drops their power,
Oh
and then I leave.
wow.
Yeah, and I just leave a couple of Dawn open for like Radical Beam or Guard Point.
Dude, that makes a lot of sense. Also, that 9 drop, that plus 2k is huge, but honestly makes much more sense in an actual new gate deck, making it an 8k. Then that's really hard to hit. Whereas 7k you still hittable. You're still gonna have to guard, and I guess you could use your events, but you're not getting the full value from the 9 drop Whitebeard as much as maybe the leader Whitebeard is getting, just because he becomes an 8k huge. So that's very interesting. Were you able to pull off a Flame Emperor on anybody?
I'm trying to remember. I think so. For some reason, that card always finds itself to my hand against yellow. It's one of those. I have no idea. Even on the sim, it's just like once they drop an AK power thing, I just top deck it every time. I'm like, whoa,
Wow.
it's like a heart of the cards kind of thing. Uh, but yeah, it's super awesome against yellow. It's almost critical to have that saved up against yellow, because if they're at their turn where they drop Katakuri 8 cost, or their 7 cost Big Mom, like I need to answer it with Flame Emperor right away. And then usually once that happens, I can try to get 2 swings in with a double attack, and then they'll drop Big Mom, and then I'll just drop like 2 Marcos down to kind of protect myself, and then that's all they
Nice.
have on board. But luckily I didn't run into too many yellow. I ran into 2 yellows, and I lost to one, but I beat the other one. I didn't get the aggro that I needed in the second Katakuri match. But usually, the whole point is just play your Izos, your buggies really, really fast, and then just Makino them early, and then just keep swinging, keep swinging, keep swinging until you get to like ace and all that stuff, and you just nonstop until they hit Big Mom, and then you just drop Marcos and hope for the best.
And that's amazing. And I've been thinking about this. Josu's literally just searchable by ISO, correct? That's why Josu's there. I've seen a lot of people run Josu
Yeah,
even when they're not white beards, like Zoro.
yeah, 100%.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah, that's
usable in your
really
deck
his purpose.
because you're a white beard still. But yeah, I've seen Josu and Zoro decks, and I think what it is the ISO searching for that 2k counter. That's just huge. So tell me,
Yeah, yeah, and
go ahead, Rayman. Sorry.
yeah, no, yeah, no. one game I played against a yellow one time. I was able to play it down and rush for game. So like sometimes it matters, but most of the time it's just a 2K
It's a
counter.
good option to have. I used to think it was 2 down to activate, but it's only 1, so that's not really bad at all. Make him a 5k and attack right into
Yeah.
him. Can catch the opponent off guard. He's very expensive though. It's 5k attack for 5 dawn basically. But you get
Yeah.
that rush and if it's I mean you can't do it in a Zoro deck, but goddamn if you could that would have been awesome. It would have been another Zoro. But talk to us about
Yeah, that
this
would just be
list.
more
Oh,
broken.
yeah. Hey, so tell us about this list. How is the events lineup? Are you gonna change anything about the lineup of the events or the characters, or are you comfortable with going into another event with this exact deck?
I would say I wanted one more Fire Fist. I think I would reduce one Jet Pistol,
It
play one
gives you
more
too
Fire
much
Fist.
value, huh?
Yeah, it's just so good, and I need to see a few of them early game. It's just so awesome. Just playing two is like, man, if I bottom deck them, like I really, that was something I was scared of. So luckily, I was able to see my Fire Fists,
Nice.
pretty often. Uh, but yeah, so if you miss them, you're kind of just like lose a lot of gas. And 𝐂𝐶quake is awesome. I love 𝐂𝐶quake. It's just super good. Combo it with Ace 7 drop is just amazing. Like I was
Huge,
playing
yeah.
against a law player. I think like final round or something like that. And by then I was X2, so I really needed that game. And luckily it was law. But yeah, I played the Ace and just minus 3K on two of his blocker law. I 𝐂𝐶quake one. And
Wow.
what one of them was tapped, so I just swung into it with like buggy.
Nice.
And
Yeah, yeah, and he won't even guard at that point because the minus 3k,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so it's so good. It's just like so amazing. And then I was able to like Fire Fist like the following turn to KO the last two 1 drop blockers they had. The turn after, and then it was just like, yeah, like there was no way they could have blocked any of my attacks after that. Like it was, I like all the events being removal, except for of course guard point and radical beam. I think because I need to answer my opponent's board. Stuff like Roundtable or stuff like Crossfire, I feel like it's so slow. And all I'm doing is reducing power. So I mean, it'd be nice to combo with 𝐂𝐶quake, but really, I just need the removal. A lot of people say like Crossfire is super good to be able to remove like Big Mom,
Right.
and honestly, Big Mom is the only thing aside from like 10 drop Kaido, that's 12,000 power that I can reduce with a crossfire to Flame Emperor. Everything else,
Yeah.
10,000 power or less, I can just Otama Flame Emperor. I can, Otama whatever. So like if I hold it on a Whitebeard, for example, I can Otama Flame Emperor a Whitebeard, which I did a couple times, and that's like it removes a 10k and it leaves me a few Dawn. Because if I crossfire, I'm gonna only be left with, uh, one less Dawn, which who knows? I could be using that to protect myself with Radical Beam or Guard Point. And Guard Point specifically, I put in actually like the night before. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, uh, sometimes I'm getting swung at with 7K, and Guard Point is just like
It's perfect.
amazing to block that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect for
you
that, yeah.
know?
It's cheap
Yeah,
too.
because yeah, it's super cheap. It's just like Radical Beam to protect for one Dawn, and I can block a 7K hit. So like if a Smoker hits me for 7K, or Zoro buffs a Marco to 7K, I can block that. Or Doflamingo, will swing 7K often. I can block it with Guard Point early in the game. So that's super important for me. And that was like putting two of those was like kind of critical to protect myself against 7K swings.
Man, that's such a good analysis of guard point. It's a really good way to to explain the value of guard point. Now everybody that scares 7k attacks or is having a lot of problems with 7k attacks, now they have a bigger understanding why guard point is such a good card. It just can stop such big attacks like that. Man, this is such a beautiful deck. So you said you actually want more removal, even though you have intense amount of removal. You can literally get rid of new gates, 9-drop new gates with Otama Flame Emperor combos, but that's not enough for you. You want more Fire Fist, maybe even more
Yeah.
Sea Quakes in here. That's amazing. Man, this is such a good deck. Would you when you are you gonna compete more in One Piece for set three?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got regionals this weekend. Um,
Nice.
I'm going to Gen Con, so
Nice.
I'm
Are you gonna
excited.
use Ace for these next tournaments, or are you switching up the deck, maybe trying something new?
I'm already playing around with some of the counts. I'm trying out some Vista. I just to see if I can get some more bodies to kind of play and KO things. So Vista
Yeah,
would be nice.
yeah. But
I'm trying to play
would
around.
you actually use Ace himself, or would you change him up? Are you just sticking with Ace for set three, or are you still thinking about maybe trying out more colors or more leaders?
Uh, Primarily, I want to keep playing Ace. I think he's a cool toolbox deck. I think that if you start to analyze the meta and what people are doing and
Yeah.
what you want to what you're gonna face, I think Ace is that kind of deck where you pick it and change the cards around, specifically to predict the meta. And I have a
Wow.
lot of fun playing it. I have a lot of fun because I really like the top end of Ace as a card and Flame Emperor. That was something I felt like Zoro doesn't have, or a Whitebeard doesn't get to do Flame Emperor really, so thankfully. But that's something that I think I really like that
Thankfully.
top end. So I like it, and honestly, I will be playing around with some other decks, in the set three meta because you know now that I got my top 16. This is my second top 16 regional, and I really was just wanting the Admiral alts so
Nice.
bad.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
so now that I've got that, I think I can have more fun and not feel like I'm stressing out. So
Yeah.
definitely, I will play Ace more for that fun. But as the meta changes and as things change, I might change the list up, or I'll play something to kind of like uh, uh, predict the
Man,
meta.
makes a lot of sense, Raymond. That makes a lot of sense. Katakuri is really strong. I've heard really good things about Rob Lucci. He just stopped the tournament. Zoro's still a really good
Mhm.
option. There's so many good decks. Makes sense why you want to still try them out. But Ace is doing really good for you. You've already topped. So this is your second top with Ace? Is that what you're saying? Or was it another set?
No, I topped. Yeah, I topped in OP2 back
Okay.
the PPG early March with Kinemon.
Nice, nice. The days of the Kinemon is gone. he was
Yeah, yeah.
he was
Unfortunately.
good for about 2 weeks
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that
Right.
Zoro.
I think right after I topped with Kinemon, like it was Whitebeard everywhere, and Kinemon was
Yeah, yeah.
dead.
Oh my god, man, we gained so much value today. We learned so much about this deck. It's such a hard deck to understand because you can run so many different options. You can run a bunch of events, you can run a bunch of characters. People are running it as Straw Hat version, they're running it a Whitebeard version, they're running a kind of a mixed version. Some people are running just like 18 or more events, like maybe even above 20 even. Some are running less than 16. So there's so many different ways to build this deck. So it was really nice to talk to you, Raymond. I'm sure we gained a lot of value. Guys, make sure if you like this stuff, join the channel. Make sure you guys jump on and subscribe. Can they find you, Raymond?
um, that's a good
If they want to
question.
talk to you and learn more
You
about
know,
Ace or play against you, where can they find you? Do you have any YouTube or any Twitter links or anything?
I made a post about my top up on Reddit on the One Piece CCG, Reddit about my deck list as well, so they can always hit me up there, make a comment on that post too. They can always ask me. I'm trying to start up some coaching on Metafy on Vegapunk Records TCG. So that's super, exciting. I would like to help, some new players out, and if they want to learn how to play Ace, if they want to learn how to play some other decks, I'm very willing to give advice, but I also give advice for free too. Not that I'm just coaching. I like to share my thoughts about the game, etc. And maybe I might start up streaming, if anything. Hopefully, that would also be under Vegapunk Records
Yeah,
TCG.
you
But we'll
should
see.
definitely start a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I gotta get to sharing some of my ideas. Because I
Hey,
have fun.
if
I
I'm
have fun
making
with the game.
videos, you definitely should make videos. Hey guys, that
Yeah.
was that was Raymond Gomez, guys. Any last words you want to tell us? Anything about Ace? Anything you want to shout out? Anybody maybe that helped you or your local? Anything you want? The floor is yours.
Yeah. If you're willing to play Ace, it's a really fun deck. It's one of those decks where it really rewards the time that you put into the deck, by figuring out, well, what's my play style, and also what kind of events do I want to play. What are my locals like? What am I predicting? So really, it rewards you putting in the time and effort to uh, practice, see what you're playing up against. And that's really the strength of the deck. It has no one way to play it. It's really just be creative and learn how to play against a variety of decks. Because it really is one of those really fun toolbox decks that I think, as more events will come out in the future, it could be, even stronger. We'll see. It's not. I don't think it's the best deck in the format, but it is really fun to play. And not only that, if you put in the hours and you put in the practice, you can see a lot of results, and that's really what I felt like when I played this in the regional.
Very well said, Raymond. Thank you again for stopping by, teaching us how to play the Ace, guys. That was Raymond Gomez, top 16 place in the recent Play TCG online regional. You're gonna see him a lot more. He's gonna be keep playing. So, guys, make sure you follow. I'll leave any links down below in the description that he would give me. Besides that, guys, appreciate you for checking us out, and I'll see you next time.